So then the matric exam started, and yes, there were the challenges of the children that went to school on the last day. I'm not worried about a matric ball, but at least the children didn't experience the same excitement that were experienced by learners in the 2019 in the year of 2019. So in 2020 they panicked, but I think if a child panicked, the mother panicked, because then the child came to school, and then the child got to school, and then there's two of the friends in isolation. Now the child panics again, but that same child must go write an exam. So as a SGB member and a chairperson of a SGB, there were a lot of challenges. We have our food kitchen at school, and that food kitchen couldn't operate anymore, but we knew how many children were hungry, and then we got funding from quite a few people where we could at least give a few food parcels. The difficult part of that was to identify the learner who really needs help, because I think in COVID-19 everybody needed a little bit of help. So that was difficult, and what made it more difficult is when you drop that parcel and you actually see the circumstances of that child. It just makes you think much more. Dit maak eintlik jou hart pap om te sien in watter omstandighede van daai kinders bly. The year of 2020 went past, but nothing changed with regards to employment. Some people got to work, and then the gates were locked. We had different challenges in workplaces where people come to work and they lie about this on the screening form. They lie about how they feel, because if they do fill in the screening form and they say they've got diarrhea, or they say they can't smell and taste, then they must go home, and that would be without remuneration, and people couldn't afford that. So a lot of challenges in the workplaces. We also found that workplaces, or the employer, didn't, or some of them didn't do as much for their workers as they could. They would put a lot of pressure on them, because production is important, but the safety of employees were looked at to a minimum, just because they need the money. And the end result was that there were people at workplace who were COVID positive. The virus spread, and more people were infected. The working from home were also a challenge, because they wanted to see production, and unfortunately if you work from home you don't really have a cut-off time, so you spend more time working and you spend less time with your family, and ergonomically it puts a lot of strain on you as a human being, as the employee. And we also had experience of people who went into depression because they don't know how to handle situations when it comes to making decisions between the workplace and what is expected of you as an employee, and whether they should rather just go on and feed their family and cut off at a certain time of the day. In our workplaces, we also found that they didn't get that support in how are you, how's your family doing, even in workplaces where people lost families. I got to a workplace one day and they said, no, that guy died. And that was just it. And to me, that were very cold, because it just shows you that you can be replaced, and they will replace you ASAP if business needs to go on. I know, yes, that we need to make money, we need to support our families, but this pandemic should have made you a different person. It should have made you more humble. It should have made you more passionate towards what you're doing and how to treat people in the sense of whether it's at work or whether it's at home. So COVID-19 took us on a journey since March in 2020, and I don't think this journey is going to end anytime soon, but every step is a learning process. We need to support each other, we need to make sure that we care for each other, because you never know when COVID is going to stand in front of your doorstep. And the biggest joy the COVID-19 actually brought to me is when I could feed people and my daughters and my friends could assist me. It brought so much joy to my heart knowing that the people in my circle will be there in case of need. And that was the biggest thing that that changed so many thoughts I have for the year of 2020. Being with the vaccine and everything that the year says of the vaccine, it scares you because this COVID is something totally different. But I look at it from a different perspective and will most probably take the vaccine if push comes to shove. But people becoming schizophrenia, people tested HIV positive. There's so many hearsays that goes around, and I'm sure there's a lot of people, and I'm one of those with mixed emotions, and one of those who will continue to read up on what this vaccine will do and how it will affect people, because our immune system is different, and I'm sure there will be people acting differently on this vaccine. But we must also remember years ago people were with the measles. Years ago people were just as scared, and now people are comfortable with the polio drops that's given to children at the early age of, I think, 1 year old already, or 2 years old. So it's a matter of adapting to the new normal, and I'll just keep my ear to the ground with all the information, obviously information that's meaningful and not hearsay stuff, and then take it from there should my time come for a vaccine.